What's up, guys? Chris from the Review Cave here, and today I'm going to be giving you guys my thoughts on Eden Zero Chapter 125. Now, since my Eden Zero video has essentially reached over 1,000 views at this point, I figured why not give reviewing the manga chapter by chapter like I've been doing with like One Piece, Black Clover, and My Hero a chance. So, here's my first review video. Hopefully I can keep this up because this manga comes out on Wednesdays officially, and I need to make sure I have time to actually record. So let's see what this manga is all about, shall we? So the beginning of this chapter starts off more or less with everything that's been going on from the previous chapter. We start off with everyone on Eden Zero figuring out that they've lost contact with Whis and Hermit, and that Cleane's mental state is starting to become unstable. Jen ends up calling Sister and lets her know that something's going on with Cleane, and she ends up saying that somebody bad is nearby. So what's going on is that Laguna is being told by Witch to head towards the satellite to give Weiss, I don't know if I'm pronouncing his name right, him and Hermit a hand due to everything that's going on. Moscoy, well, so Sister just tells him to take down the enemies that are nearby in space. Simple. So, as Whis is being held by the doctor that tormented and experimented on Hermit, he ends up coming up with an idea to use his ether gear to not only activate his arsenal armor, but also use his machine manipulation ether powers to force his suit to move, which is in fact a very smart idea due to the fact that the guy can't move at all. But it is after kicking the guy and using his arsenal armor, he realizes that it's going to take up a lot more ether than it was originally, despite the fact that, it could not use any ether for a long time before it more or less broke down. So after kicking the guy away, he goes to Herman and tries to calm her down. He tells her that there's a friend here to help her and that nothing bad is going to happen. And that they have to focus on shutting down the satellite and saving the robots over on Foresta. But the professor gets up and then changes the signal on the satellite to make it so that all of the bots on the planet become way more violent and just straight up start killing humans left and right. We see right here from Rebecca's point of view, all the bots are killing every human in sight, even the ones that they had as pets. So this virus is getting way out of hand at this point. Especially when we get to see that a little girl is about to be shot by a robot. Rebecca uses Happy to save her, and then Pino uses her EMP to shut down all the bots in the area as they all escape. Shiki, still laying down on the ground from last chapter due to the fact that he was utterly destroyed by James, or by his title Justice, and the fight between James and Elsie is still going on. This Spot shows up and tells him a bunch of stuff about gravity and how it can be very powerful as well as very dangerous, and it could draw people towards you. And gravity is more or less like the power of the heart or something like that. And what's interesting is that he used gravity in a weird way. He made Shiki's pain lighter so he can move around, so he doesn't really feel the pain anymore, but he's not healed. So that's an interesting way to use gravity, and I'm actually pretty intrigued because one particular way people can use gravity, this was shown in Black Clover, is that you can basically tear stuff apart with gravity, and people have speculated that if you use gravity to the strongest extent, you can potentially even stop time. So if she's just going to end up learning to use the world from JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, I'm just going to be both very impressed but also a bit, skeptic. But either way, it's interesting that we're getting this new kind of information and expansion on Shiki's borderline basic-ish ability of manipulating gravity in different particular ways. So cutting back to the fight with Elsie and James, they both keep clashing. The drone bots in the air that have been, infected by the virus and to kill all humans, detect a bunch of powerful ether and start shooting at both of them. And with some pretty clever and really nice-looking panels, we get to see Elsie and James take out all of these bots, and then each preparing their own powerful attacks, and they both use Grand Chariot at the exact same time, smashing into each other. And at this point, this mysterious bot, after feeling after everything with the Grand Chariot, he raises his hand and says Magimech attack, slams his foot on the ground and says gravity center. And in some pretty masterful artwork, we see like this big gravity, basically we see the top of the planet sink down and everything above it is being more or less sunk down also. So Eden Zero is being somewhat pulled down. We see that everyone on the Eden Zero feels this gravitational pull. And everyone on the planet gets flopped down on the ground. And Homura is thinking that since there's a gravity, could it be Shiki? And in the last 2 pages, after seeing everything that's going on, it is revealed that essentially this guy not only just stopped everyone from moving by making a whole freaking gravity center and pinning everyone on the planet to the ground for a limited time, he also reveals that his name is, I hope I pronounced this right, Xenoth, and he is the master of apparently the school of the Magimech School of Gravity Martial Arts, the founder, and that he taught Ziggy. He was Ziggy's mentor. So first of all, this Ether Gear was created by a bot, presumably. I mean, for all we know, this guy could just be wearing like a bot costume to blend in, or he could actually be a bot. But the fact that a bot is the person that more or less taught Shiki's grandpa how to use Magimech, and then himself passing it on to Shiki is honestly very cool. And this actually really is fun because we get, very potentially, she can get like a real mentor figure in this series, because all this time Shiki's only been using what he knew and trying to use it in creative ways when he fought his enemies, and he just started to use Overdrive, which is, as we've learned, pushing your Ether Gear to its absolute limits to access incredible power. So what I'm thinking is Xenolith will teach Shiki more ways to use his gravity, and if he can master that whole making pain lighter thing, she can use this on himself and his allies for when they're hurt against powerful enemies, and eventually when they have to fight Ziggy and his 4 dark, I forgot what they're called, dark or demon stars or whatever they're called. That way their injuries, despite them being completely injured, they could still fight just without the pain. But it's also a double-edged sword because without feeling the pain, or if you can't feel pain, basically the pain disappears while you still have all your wounds. You can still be reckless and get even more injured, so that's something. But then that whole gravity center attack technique, that was honestly really amazing, because if Shiki can master something like that, he can pin all of his enemies down on the ground, especially if they're in like a dire situation like right now with all the bots going crazy on this planet. He can actually use this to make it so that his allies can make it out of there safely, because being pinned down to the ground with a high amount of gravity can in fact make someone disoriented or unable to move for a few minutes. So that's a perfect escape. That's actually a perfect technique to use if you want a very quick escape, if you're in a fight against someone that you can't beat. Now, what was mentioned in previous chapters is that I believe the current Irrational States Galactica member that has this territory that they're in has a, I think, son or grandson called Shura, and he also uses gravity magic. So I feel, well, gravity ether gear, well, whatever, it's magic and science put together in this world, but whatever. So obviously Shiki and the Shura guy are going to end up fighting. Xenolith came to save Shiki, so he could see potential in Shiki since the fact that he is so young and he used Overdrive at this point. So this is interesting. And possibly he could eventually join the Eden Zero crew so he can help train Shiki to fully master his gravity magic. And this could also set up for Xenolith's eventual death by Ziggy or some other villain in the series, so that Shiki can get stronger or have more motivation to take down his corrupted grandfather. And this could also add another powerhouse to Eden Zero, because due to how stacked, or, well, not stacked, insanely strong Ziggy's crew is on the Eden's 1, it is very possible that having Xenolith come aboard to not only help Shiki train, but also help all the others train and make them stronger, but also be there as sort of like a get out of jail free card in a sense, to give them that extra boost of firepower. I'm not saying that Jin, Kline, and Laguno aren't much help. They are. They're pretty strong on their own. But having someone this powerful that was able to pin all the strong combatants on the planet down in one single attack can be very useful. And right now, they're honestly in a very particular situation where this can in fact affect them very poorly. But yeah, that's really my review of chapter 125 of Eden Zero, Gravity of the Heart. So I hope you guys enjoyed this. I will do my very best to make these reviews over and over again every week. But again, it's going to depend on whether or not I have the time to be somewhere where I can record or if I'm at work. So don't expect this to be up every afternoon, possibly later in the day, if anything. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I hope you all have an awesome day.